A movie scientifically made for bisexuals with a strong sense of justice, though I guarantee almost none of you have ever heard of it, is 1942's Talk of the Town. It is, on the one hand, a very nuanced conversation about the American legal system and the rich people who have always been able to pervert it to their own ends, while also being one of those intensely bisexual love triangles that begs the question, why not just polyamory? And it is, without a doubt in my mind, one of the most Frank Capra-esque films that Frank Capra didn't direct. Instead, Talk of the Town is directed by George Stevens, who later directed Jean Arthur in the movie Shane, which you would know if you're a Logan fan. It is about a Boston law professor, played by Ronald Colman, who spends his summer at a B&B that he does not realize he is sharing with an escaped fugitive. Played by Cary Grant, the town's local radical and malcontent who's been accused of burning down a local factory and killing a foreman. He seeks refuge in this little vacation house owned by the beautiful and hilarious Jean Arthur, who's been preparing to host Ronald Colman's character and who must now hide Cary Grant's identity and also help ingratiate them to each other, as Cary Grant and his lawyer hope that Ronald Colman can help him with his legal woes. And Ronald Colman is a real stick in the mud, a by-the-books lawman. So what follows is a pretty dynamic character arc as Ronald Colman is dragged deeper into the mystery surrounding Cary Grant. Because while this is a love triangle between these men and Jean Arthur, these men are far more attracted to each other than they are to her. I can't tell you how much of this movie is spent with Ronald Colman and Cary Grant sharing just kiss each other looks from across the room. And you just want to tell them both, look, there are far weaker pretenses for just hooking up already than a triad with Jean Arthur. I have been obsessed with this woman for decades. Icon. It is true that they filmed endings of Jean Arthur's character getting with both of these gentlemen and didn't know who she would get with in the end until test audiences told them which one they preferred. But I don't want to underemphasize the rest of the movie because this genre-defying little film is both a screwball comedy and a riveting little crime adventure, with chases and intrigue and violence and very high stakes. And the stakes aren't just on Cary Grant. Early on, we learn that Ronald Colman is actually in the running to be named one of the next Supreme Court justices, so if scandal gets out about him, like being involved with a fugitive, that could ruin his entire future. But as good as it is, and as much broad appeal as I know it has, it's one of those movies that gets overshadowed by the bigger names like the Frank Capra films, and for whatever reason, I never meet other cinephiles who have seen it, and film archivist groups like the Criterion Collection never highlight or emphasize it. But it's a universally appealing story asking, who does our legal system actually protect, and why are these attractive people clearly in love but pretending they're not a throuple?